Hello and welcome, dearest friends of this here internet. My name is Mark. I am back once again, broadcasting live from within the chaos of reality itself. And today is the first day that I actually stream on multiple platforms at the same time. So hopefully that works, but we're about to find out. Alright, so as per usual, my goal for the stream is to work on some of my art and pass the time by reacting to some videos on YouTube. I am continuing to work on my character design sheet, which after many years of having this avatar for myself, I've never actually completed. I've never actually sat down and made sure that I had a unified concept of my avatar's design. Alright, so the very first video for today will be from Spawnwave, who makes really great video game news daily videos. And today's video is titled Nintendo Makes an Interesting Move and Sony Issues a Warning for New PS5 Buyers. So let's find out what's going on with that.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Nintendo made an interesting move that was discovered yesterday that could actually point to another weird Nintendo product of some kind. Think of Alarmo, because yeah, Nintendo could be getting ready to do something very Nintendo-like, but we'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Sony, who has once again doubled down on moving away from physical media and making sure if you bought a PS5 today that you would absolutely know what they're planning. And we have Microsoft with an announcement and an update for current Xbox owners. But the thing that really caught headlines is what Asha Sharma said that seems to point to, I think, a pretty big move and big upgrade for their achievements, but we'll go over all of that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. Guys, we're every weekday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, going over the world of gaming news, trying to keep you up to date. So just know, even if you don't get a notification, there's probably a video here on YouTube to check out, or even a video over on Spotify to check out. You can follow us on either platform there. And we're going to start today with Minecraft on the Switch 2, because while the Switch 1 version has been backwards compatible, it's still the Switch 1 version, waiting for that Switch 2 edition. It's now been announced, and we can see this was a page that was updated over on their website. The Switch 2 version coming October 27th. Now, they do mention that it renders the world of Minecraft to lush life with vibrant visuals. That's the default visual experience they have for the Switch 2, so enhanced lighting, shadow effects, and more. Also, the Super Mario Mashup Pack is getting an update to go along with the vibrant visuals graphics, so that's good news there. Now, from what I saw, it looked like at retail it's a game key card at $30, so there'll be a retail version of the game there. But then they mentioned there's a digital upgrade path available for Switch players, so I don't know if that means you have to spend more money to get the Switch 2 edition if you already have the Switch 1 version. That would be a shame, because this feels like a game that they have a large install size, and I figure they want the least amount of friction possible if you're already playing on the Switch 2 and you want to take advantage of that, because Minecraft players just dump more money into the marketplace anyway. But I guess we'll get more information on that upgrade path as we head towards its October release. Also, we just talked about EA and how they completed their buyout and they went private. And we also sort of mentioned, there'll probably be some cost-saving measures in there, which could lead to layoffs. Well, we can see, this is from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg, saying the publisher has told debt investors that it will cut $700 million in annual costs, including 170 million in organizational efficiencies per Bloomberg. In other words, mass layoffs. And yeah, most likely. I mean, look, here's the thing right now. When we look at EA and the amount of debt that they have now taken onto their balance sheet, while they were making considerable amounts of revenue, it still pales in comparison to the amount of debt that they've taken on. So yes, they are going to look to cut costs wherever they can to just add more money that way. And because they're private, they can be a bit more agile about it. They won't necessarily make, like, they make massive announcements about, like, so many people getting laid off. But eventually you do see people on LinkedIn or social media like, hey, I got laid off at EA, and then it kind of comes together. And then you have outlets do some investigation and find out that, yeah, significant layoffs did follow. So yeah, it seems like they're setting things up with just that message to some of the debt investors. So I guess look out for that. Oh, and it does seem
Damn, everybody's having layoffs, and it's been years of layoffs at this point. That's crazy.
that Ghost Recon Wildlands will be getting a big update today, as they have like an anniversary stream that'll be happening. But we already saw this sort of pop up on different storefronts. I think it was on Xbox, where it looked like it was going to be getting a PS5 and Xbox Series version of the game. Now we have further details in a store listing. This was logged over on Reddit. It looks like we have 4K 60 FPS, a 3D audio support, faster SSD load times, haptic trigger and feedback, as well as a new story pack. So this is pretty cool. I mean, it seems like they're just setting things up here to, I don't know, revitalize or even bring people back, more interest back to a game that Ubisoft had already put out. And I do think that's a good strategy for these publishers to do these sorts of updates, although it is kind of annoying that they'll still sometimes call it next-gen update, even though we're about to wrap up, what, year 6 in the PS5 and Xbox Series generation. But I guess that's the marketing term, so look out for this. Should be later on today, I believe, as it seemed like the listing mentioned it was like available now. That, of course, following their anniversary presentation. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo making an interesting move that I think is setting them up for another weird project announcement. And I mean, they've done this multiple times now. With it's kind of what makes Nintendo Nintendo. You're just hanging out one day, they're like, hey guys, let's fold cardboard and use it with the Switch, and they just show off Labo, and it's this weird thing that, you know, you try it out, you're like, oh, it's kind of interesting. Not necessarily something I'm going to play constantly, but I don't know, it's something. And here comes Alarmo, and hey, you could use this alarm clock, and it's like, that's weird, but okay, sure. $100 alarm clock that has Mario or Splatoon characters running around, that connects to the internet and just randomly updates sometimes. Well, with that in mind, it seems like Nintendo is preparing something else, as we can see. Now, this is over on Reddit, as they noticed that Nintendo filed 4 design registrations with the EU IPO. Now, that is the European Union Intellectual Property Office, so they're getting things like trademarks and copyrights, all these things in order. And the 4 different listings that they noticed here have the same number prefix for the design number, so that probably means one product, but different design patents related to it, okay? So they have to get everything set up here, of course, with regulations, but they decided to defer any of the publication for this until a later date. And we've seen this before. Remember we discussed, I think it ended up being the NSO N64 controller that was originally just a rectangle. Like, that was all they showed. It was like a block. And they just needed to at least lay out where
websites your competitors
Oh,
don't
come
want you
on,
to know.
guy.
Part 2.
All you do is go to this website, and, it lets
And you
find out
skip the ad. Done.
the label was going to be on the device, and so that was it. They just drew a shape, and they're like, hey, eventually we'll come back and make this public. And they did, and it was the N64 controller. So here, this seems like them doing something similar, but lining up a product of some kind. And I say a product, it doesn't seem like this would be set up for a new system, for example. I saw some people wondering, is this the Switch 2 Lite? No, I don't believe so. I think you could make the case for, think of Ring Fit. You could make the case for like the Pilates ring, something like that, to go with the new game. So a controller, some kind of new controller, I think it's possible there, but would be more in line with a singular game or concept, like an exercise game, right? Now, you could also have, I was thinking maybe something for mouse mode, because while we have some third-party mouse enclosures and stuff, we don't really have one that's necessarily first-party and like really advertised heavily next to the system. And we have seen Nintendo and third parties do more and more when it comes to mouse mode. Like, that seems to be a pretty consistent feature that is at least advertised. I mean, otherwise, I mean, it could be some weird new project. That's the thing. We don't know what Nintendo ever has planned, it seems. I did wonder if it could be a new attachment for the Switch too. So we've talked a lot.
All right, so Nintendo accessories are always interesting. They're never what you think they're going to be. And as of recent, it doesn't seem like they've been very big hits.
About the idea of them approaching the DS for NSO. And in order to do that, you could have a clamshell design where you could have a second screen, or you could have the system go into like a portrait mode, and then you just divide the screen right in the middle, and you'll have two screens, of course, one on top of the other. But when you do that, you have to be able to hold the Switch 2 or Switch 1 in some way, and maybe it is some kind of vertical grip that would allow that to happen, and it has a spot maybe for a stylus. But as we sort of talked about before, these are the kind of things that make me think Nintendo does want to be very present at retail, because these are the sorts of things that you'd probably be walking through the store and just randomly see at times. If you were like super plugged in and going like, why is Nintendo making an alarm clock? Or why is Nintendo doing some kind of like amiibo or attachment or whatever, right? You just kind of walk by it at a retail store and go, oh, that's weird, but we'll check it out. What's this Ring Fit Adventure kind of thing? And I think that's how things like the Wii or even the Wii Fit really got moving. It's word of mouth, but also just kind of seeing it at retail. So that's the thing. Nintendo, while they sell a lot of video games, they also sell a lot of just products, right? And this, I think, is going to be another one of those cases. And I think it's something they're probably setting up to announce most likely in a couple of months. I mean, people expect a September Direct even, you know? So maybe that's where they announce this, or who knows, as Nintendo has been doing recently, they just show up to social media like on Twitter and just one morning it's like, hey guys, here's some cardboard. So who knows? Maybe they have something weird like that planned coming out of left field. Next up, let's talk about Sony and their push to an all-digital ecosystem, as they have doubled down multiple times, of course, with investors. And now they seem to have doubled down again, this time for maybe new PlayStation 5 owners, just to make sure you know, because they got to basically put it right in front of your face, and maybe it's for legal reasons, but this was noticed, we can see, by Behind the Games, and it appears that there is, it looks like a sticker or a label that they are putting on the PS5. Kind of hard to read here, but if we go over on the pushsquare.com, they did do a full transcription here of it, saying, important notice, from January 2028, newly released games on PlayStation will be available for purchase on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital format only. Discs for games released before January 2028 can continue to be played on this console. Look at...
Jeez. It's official. Damn. That sucks.
that. They removed 8K and added this sticker. Now, the 8K thing's been gone for a while. That was pretty funny, them shipping the PS5 box with 8K on it. But now they have this sticker, of course, that is at least trying to make people aware, even though it is fine print. Technically, it says important notice there right at the top. And I saw some people wonder, well, hold on, it's a sticker. Maybe that's just in case they do want to backtrack. To be honest, I think it's because they already had a bunch of these retail boxes made up, and they didn't feel like remaking them and just having that as part of the box itself. It's like, oh, we'll just order in some stickers and just slap them on each one as they're leaving the factory. But to me, I'm seeing more of this, guys, and I know, there are people who are really hoping that Sony will go, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do this. I don't think there's anything in the short term that is going to sway them much, because the only thing that would sway them is their bottom line, let's face it, or concern about their bottom line. Could that happen through just people continue to be outspoken and over time they go, wow, this really is not going away? Potentially. But I really don't think that would happen until next year, because GTA 6 is going to be such a massive launch that Call of Duty, Madden, NBA, all these things that are stacking up that are really going to hit the mainstream who I don't think really care that much, majority-wise, I'll say, of the idea of, oh, it's a digital game. And with GTA 6, you have really just, there's no option. You have to buy it digitally. So that is heavily going to sway the numbers. Sony's going to see all this and go, oh, no, we're good. It's not going to be until that PS6 starts showing up with that inflated price tag and it just being completely digital that Sony could fall into the trap of, oh, wait, wow, that might have been the thing that really, like, put us over the edge here, put us over the cliff, the straw that broke the camel's back. Right now, though, you see these stickers going out. You see how they're talking to investors. I mean, I think they are full speed ahead on this thing, but hey, I do still think it's worth voicing your opinion to Sony in the replies or anything like that, just to see if even that public outcry could eventually make them think a little more about it, because I do think there are still some outs for Sony, even if they want to treat the physical release as more of a boutique thing that's like, oh, we'll make these like almost collector's editions that cost more, as better than what the current plan is where it's all digital. But yeah, when you see that sticker go out, not looking great for the idea of them backtracking in a meaningful way anytime soon. Next up, let's talk about Microsoft and an update that's been announced for Xbox. Another update, it looked all right, it was fine. The thing that really made a lot of headlines was the follow-up to that and a potential big announcement, big update for Xbox, because it's something people have been asking for a long time now. First, though, let's take a look. This is over on news.xbox.com, and this is an update available for Xbox insiders where they have more control over captures, saves, and wish lists. So the big ones here, you can include chat in your game captures if you're in a voice, like a party, and you guys are kind of chatting back and forth, laughing, having fun, and you want to record some of the footage that's happening. You can also capture what's being said then in your party.
Come on, Xbox. This has been a feature in PlayStation's streaming services, and this has been a feature in even like Steam for a while.
Party, and that can lead to some very spontaneous and fun moments. But if you don't want to your voice be captured, you can opt out of it. So that is also very possible there. But it seems like something that just kind of captures the moment and can be a lot of fun. Now, they also have new ways to view your achievement history. So
no, I'm retarded.
Very spontaneous, having fun, a voice, like a party, and you guys are kind of chatting back and forth, laughing, having fun, and you want to record some of the footage that's happening. You can also capture...
No, yeah, I was right. So I thought that it was only to do with achievements, but no, it's essentially all game captures.
What's being said then in your party, and that can lead to some very spontaneous and fun moments. But if you don't want to your voice be captured, you can opt out of it. So that is also very possible there, but it seems like something that just kind of captures the moment and can be a lot of fun. Now, they also have new ways to view your achievement history. So just different ways you can track, or if you're trying to chase 100% completion, you can just keep an eye on your next big gamer score milestone. Just more control over what you're seeing and what you're tracking there with your achievements, maybe in a certain game. And then also cloud save. So it seems like it's a bit more refined, where you can restore previously sync cloud saves directly from your Xbox console in supported games. And they also let you now add more games to your wish list. But the thing, again, that people are really talking about was this. This was from Ashish Sharma, saying players have been asking for voice chat and captures for a long time. Starting today, it's here. You'll also see more on achievements and wish lists in this latest update. Now, she was asked, when are you going to solve the Platinum Trophy equivalent with achievements? She responded, the team is working on something for later this year. Okay, so, and I know people out there who aren't in achievements or trophies are like, what's the big deal? This has been an ongoing thing for a while, because when you get all the trophies in the game on PlayStation, you do get like that little extra, that Platinum Trophy, and people will talk about how many Platinums they have. But on Xbox, kind of go, how many 1,000 out of 1,000 games do you have? That doesn't sound as good as how many Platinums do you have. So I do think it's weird that Microsoft, who, I mean, really worked to innovate the idea of the achievements in the first place, never really thought to do something like that. And even when they saw PlayStation doing it, they didn't do anything with it. So this is once again I mean, I look back on the Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond era. I see Ash Sharma doing stuff that people are asking for, like, pretty quick. So it's odd that something like this has gone so long where it's been neglected, and now she shows up and all of a sudden all these things are happening, including some kind of Platinum Trophy equivalent. And that could be really just something that you count along the way that's better than saying 1,000 out of 1,000. You know, like, that would be actually really cool to have. And so I'm hoping we see something with that. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And the idea, again, of trophies and achievements, just kind of keeping you engaged, something fun to have for the community as you go along through what ends up being really a journey or lifetime nowadays with these different accounts for, like, your gaming history. It's something I wouldn't mind seeing Nintendo do, because they are doing that Donkey Kong thing, and I think it's pretty cool with the cards. but even they, I have to figure, would show up with something that would be kind of an equivalent of a platinum trophy if they went down that road. So it's about time that Microsoft figured that out. Seems like something we'll be hearing about, I guess, according to Ash Sharma, later this year. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about another Gamescom lineup. After we just covered Microsoft yesterday, let's talk about Nintendo here, and this again happening at the end of August, and we can see the lineup. Now, this is over on Nintendo Everything. I had it listed here very nicely for us. We have 007 First Light, and...
Oh, come on, you stupid ad.
I'm gonna be very curious about that as well. Listed here very.
That's pretty cool. I honestly had no idea that 007 First Light was even on Nintendo Switch. That's insane.
Very nicely for us. We have 007 First Light, and I'm gonna be very curious about that, as well as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. Those are two games that I would like to see running on the system, because 007, remember, that got delayed and pushed out from its initial release with the other systems. Seemed like they just needed to spend more time working on it. And then Call of Duty, I mean, that's the return for Call of Duty to Nintendo's platform. Now we also have EA Sports FC 27, Metaphor ReFantazio, that's coming out here in a few months, so good to see it, I guess, on display here and playable. Minecraft Dungeons 2, that's out in September. Switch Sports Resort, I mean, we've seen Switch Sports or Sports multiple times now, but still good to see it there. Orbitals, I'm just ready for that game to come out already. I think it looks awesome, and
Yeah.
I think it'll be a really fun co-op.
I really want to play it. I just gotta check. I need to know, is this a Switch 2 exclusive, or can you play it on Switch 1? Let's double check that real quick. So, I can't type for the life of me. Yes, Orbitals is a Switch 2 exclusive. I need to get my hands on a Switch 2, bro. That's crazy.
Game to play through with the family. Pokemon Pocopia with the expansion pass, and then Splatoon Raiders, most likely just kind of advertising it, since many of us, I'm sure, who have a Switch 2 or Lite or interested in Splatoon, have already played it, but just a way to kind of get it out there and show people. So the big ones again, 007 First Light and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4, at least for me. Looking forward to coverage, I'm sure frame rate and resolution analysis, all that good stuff. But it's interesting to see 007, that, I mean, was an awesome game, you know, earlier this year, and actually pushing those systems, the PS5 and the Xbox Series, quite a bit. But then Call of Duty with that return to Nintendo and the Switch too. So it should be pretty fun to check out what Nintendo has in store for us at their booth. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, have you stuck with a game after beating it to collect more trophies or achievements? 80% say yes, 20% say no. Now, some people are like, yeah, I have, but it's not a usual thing. If you've done it once, that's the allure, the pull of the platinum trophy or the 100% completion or with achievements.
For me, it's like probably the inverse, honestly. If I really like a game, yes, I will stick around to essentially collect everything, make sure I unlock everything. But for the most part, once it's done, it's done.
So yeah, it makes sense to have a platinum trophy equivalent on Xbox. And again, I know this is, people go back and forth on this if Nintendo needs it. I don't think they need it because they're successful without it. But it is kind of like that weird elephant in the room thing of like, man, Nintendo is really the only company that doesn't do any achievements with their stuff. And it's not like, I talked about Luna, the streaming service. They have achievements. GOG has achievements. Stadia had achievements. Like Stadia was here and then it died all that time. It had achievements and Nintendo still didn't get them. So the reason I would like to see Nintendo do achievements is because I think they would kind of do some weird Nintendo thing with it. And I'd like to see more innovation with these achievements or trophies or what have you, and I think Nintendo would at least come up with some interesting wrinkles for that entire sector. So that's the main thing. Otherwise, though, yeah, I mean, it's fun. Like when trophies start popping or achievements start popping up, you're like, oh yeah, cool, I did earn that. Especially if it's not, oh, at the end of a level or something. You're just randomly in a battle or you do something cool, an achievement pops, and you're like, oh, what was that for? You know what? I did take out like 12 enemies with this one weapon in a certain way. I did do that. Cool. I'll add that onto the list of achievements that I've done. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Rez, who says, prices aren't going down, so go retro. The story of my life the last 25 years. Well, I ebbs and flows with retro, okay? Because you'd always kind of compare it to like the modern stuff. And we have had some good runs there where like the PS4 was stupid cheap. You know, like with the Black Friday deal with Spider-Man and like the PS4, and it was with a gift card, it was $200. It's hard to look at that and go, man, that's not a good deal, you know? And with retro gaming, it's still pricey, but it got really out of control there in comparison to modern gaming. What was that, like end of 360, PS3, PS4, Xbox One coming in? That's when we started to see the real rise of retro games, and then it was just like going crazy in like 2018, 2019, 2020 especially. And now it's kind of leveling out again because modern gaming, we're sitting here with an $800 Xbox Series X. You know, like some of these games are $100 or more depending on the special editions and stuff. So when you look around and go, oh, you know what, some of those $20 or $30 GameCube games, not looking so bad anymore. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you want to check out some of the numbers that were getting thrown around by these different companies when it comes to digital versus physical ratios and why gamers aren't necessarily buying into all of that. I did a video on that, and I'll leave it right below. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Builders. It's not our job title.
You know what your job title is? Skip this ad. That's what it is. So yeah, that was our daily dose of video game news for the day. There's a bit of a redundancy. Daily for the day.
There was once an...
And now, what the hell? I don't want YouTube Premium. Get the hell out of here. I thought this was the Anime Man, but I guess it's not the Anime Man. It's Joey. I always forget how to pronounce his last name. Bizinger? Sure, why not? This is Joey Bizinger uploading I Don't Want to Be Here Anymore. Whatever that means. I was like, do you mean in Japan? Do you mean like in the like anime coverage sphere? Do you mean... What do you mean? What are you talking about? This was uploaded 4 days ago.
There was once an intriguing debate that sparked conversation amongst internet dwellers of the past, with a rather enticing name called the Dead Internet Theory. It basically suggests that
Oh, I guess he doesn't want to be on the internet anymore.
bots and other automated content have become the primary engine that is chugging along to keep the algorithm-driven internet ecosystem seemingly alive and active. The ironic thing is that this term was coined and ultimately chalked up to as a sort of conspiracy theory, alleging some kind of coordinated effort to control the populace and lower human interaction. Ultimately,
I've never heard about it discussed in that way. That sounds like some retardation. It sounds absolutely stupid. No, the dead internet theory is, from what I understand, like as a normal concept, just the idea that unfortunately the internet isn't actually being used by that many people on a daily basis for organic interactions. It's essentially the idea that most systems and most interactions on the internet are completely driven by automation. So social media, most of the engagement is automated. Live streaming, most of the engagement is automated.
leading to the downfall of humanity, so to speak. During the early 2010s, when this theory was introduced to the public space, it was something akin to an Orwellian cyber fantasy, a pre-warning to a potential, not necessarily an inevitability. So long as we, flesh and blood humans, were all made aware of it and acted accordingly to stop any kind of progress towards said direction. But now in 2026, the dead internet theory is no longer...
Wait, what does this even mean? What are you talking about, bro?
Theory was introduced to the public space, it was something akin to an Orwellian cyber fantasy, a pre-warning to a potential, not necessarily an inevitability.
What do you...
So long as we, flesh and blood humans, were all made aware of it and acted accordingly to stop any kind of progress towards said direction. But
What are you talking about? How would we do anything about it? The dead internet theory is literally just, bots are everywhere. Bots are inevitable. They're going to be everywhere. That's all it is. What are we going to do about it? As a normal human being, there's really nothing that you can do. I mean, I guess you could pass, like, legislation on bots on the internet, but honestly, the concept is so vague that it would be difficult to get boomers on board. So yeah, I think it is actually inevitable. I don't think there's anything that anybody can do about it, except be aware of the fact that there are bots everywhere and try not be persuaded by the bots.
now in 2026, the dead internet theory is no longer a theory. It's a real thing that has happened and is currently happening, with striking amounts of evidence to support it. The internet security giant Cloudflare stated that bot activity on its site crossed beyond the 50% threshold only a couple of months ago. Global cybersecurity company Imperva stated that for the first time ever in 2024, more than half of all detected web activity was done by bots. And a study conducted by Stanford University used the Wayback Machine to conclude that 1 in 3 websites created between the years of 2022 and 2025 were made using some kind of AI generation, with 17% of those being created entirely by artificial intelligence.
Yeah. Yes. What are we talking about? There's website builder services that offer AI services. They have automated AI systems that will help you generate a website. Yeah, and
the scariest thing is that you don't even need this kind of hard evidence or data sets to see the effects for yourself. Just log on to any social media platform of your choice, and you're bound to come across some kind of artificially generated slop content or even human-made slop content consuming your feed. In the case with YouTube, it's a similar story. In fact, YouTube themselves admitted that 1 in 5 videos that are shown to new users fall under the AI slop content umbrella, and they only seem to be doubling down on this questionable decision ever since. It seems like this theory of a discrete robot brigade over...
Hold on a second. What decision? I'm lost.
In fact, YouTube themselves admitted that 1 in 5 videos that are shown to new users fall under the AI slop content umbrella, and they only seem to be doubling down on this questionable decision ever.
What decision? There was no decision discussed in that statement. They acknowledged that, what was it, 5%? 20%, sorry. More than 20% of videos shown to new YouTube users are AI slop. This is apparently according to YouTube themselves. And where was the decision made? What decision? YouTube decided to show more than 20% of their video recommendations as slop content? I don't understand.
That are shown to new users fall under the AI slop content umbrella, and they only seem to be doubling down on this questionable decision ever since. It seems like this theory of a discrete robot brigade overruling our dopamine-starved brains is rapidly approaching that Orwellian cyber fantasy we once laughed off, and shockingly, nobody seems to care or know exactly how to revert it. I am someone who had a childhood...
Oh, bro. That was weird. Okay, so, complete tangent. I just was putting down a line. Just normal, just trying to be steady with my hand. And then my eyes reset. I don't know how to explain it, but it was like, all of a sudden, like, the image just shifted. Wait, me and that. The image just shifted. And it was like instant. That was weird.
That is pretty unique in the sense that I remember a time during my childhood without the internet and with the internet. Back when the only way I could access the internet was through a family computer, one that was shared with every member of my family, that had a hard cap of a few hours or so per day before I had to switch with somebody else in my family, or when the dial-up capacity had hit its peak for the month. Countless weekends of going to a friend's house to load up our favorite Newgrounds animations, or playing games like Run or Tanks in rotation on sites like Albino Black Sheep, uploading my crappy art onto sites like DeviantArt, and jumping with legit excitement every time a new comment appeared below it, or attempting to download the latest System of a Down album off LimeWire and uTorrent. But these were merely special moments, a secret reward for a full week of diligent schoolwork, or after a long hot day in the sun kicking the football around in the local park, or whatever it is I was doing back then. It wasn't until I entered middle school that I was introduced to social media sites like Facebook and MySpace. But back then, I was more worried about getting a new high score on Farmville, or pimping out my cringy MySpace page with random anime art I picked up from a forum. I didn't discover YouTube or YouTubers until I was well into my high school years, watching weekly episodes of Angry Video Game Nerd, Game Grumps, and PewDiePie was my favorite thing to do before I went to bed every night. But now fast forward 15 to 20 years, and what am I exposed to now every time I open up anything on the internet? An endless sea of vapid posts, insipid content, and a total lack of any cultural identity. The ghostly shadow of
Any cultural identity. That's due to globalism. That's due to the melting pot. What are we talking about? There's just, so many different cultures sort of colliding on the internet and just becoming this amorphous blob.
of an environment that I used to look forward to exploring every day. A shallow husk of what once was. It's easy enough to blame AI and the robot overlords for ruining the internet, but I truly think that us humans have kind of taken on the role of the oil poured onto the flame that's burning everything down. I see it almost every day, an eternal deluge of angry comments frustrated at the new target of the week that never seem to find any kind of concrete answer to satiate their collective rage, because by the time we get close to an answer, we've already moved on to the next target to point our digital spears at. It happens in every community now, no matter how prevalent or localized it may be. We've almost been sapped of the opportunity to fully express our enjoyment of anything anymore, to be given an avenue to convey appreciation, curiosity, empathy, or nuance towards anything without being personally berated by a cannonade of anonymous gunfire. And if there are any friends you find among the sea of enemies on the internet, they trauma bond as one hive mind to fight against the common invisible enemy. The algorithms behind these platforms have tapped into a core human psychology of groupthink mob mentality, or as Max Fisher describes it in his book, The Chaos Machine, this idea of a social validation feedback loop that has taken the wheels of our consciousness. Oh, you like this new anime that just came out? Here's a million reasons why you're wrong, stupid, and a fake fan of the medium, because I've made up my mind and there's no telling me otherwise. Oh, you're
Yeah, we've always had this.
looking forward to this new game from the trailer that just released? Well, let me let all of my followers know why you're a bigoted, uneducated plebeian, because you don't understand game design as well as I think I do. This new art piece, this new animation short, this new song I just found is really cool, and I like it. Well, sorry bro, it's not only made partially using AI, but the person who wrote the prompt is an alleged diddler. And if you enjoy it, then so are you. And don't ask me where I got that information from. I just saw it. If you enjoy it, then so are you. And who wrote the prompt is an alleged diddler. And if you enjoy it, then so are you. And don't ask me where I got that information from. I just saw it on the internet. Eat this if you want to lose weight. Don't eat this if you want your penis to work. Subscribe to this. Don't subscribe to this. Here's 10 life hacks you can use to impress women, written by a man who has never touched one before. Wear this shade of eyeliner. Don't wear this shade of foundation. This online celebrity just said this, and if you disagree with their stance, you should call the SWAT team on them. This person did this according to this other person that may or may not be an automated bot, so make sure to send your finest death threats to them and their family. Oh, at the end of it all, they're just claiming it's an opinion? Well, if it doesn't align with my worldview, then that gives me all the power to ruin your miserable existence forever. Say this. Don't say this. Do this. Don't do this. Think this way. Don't think this way. Doesn't it all seem so
Retarded.
exhausting? Well, imagine interacting with this for half of your waking day every single day. There's no wonder that we've all gotten more lonely, more miserable, and more divided than ever before. Because before the internet, you only had to deal with stuff like this in your personal vicinity, like a friend group, or a family gathering, or your nearby community. Now you get to know everything and anything in the palm of your hands, regardless of whether you ask for it or not. Is it any wonder that an increasing number of millennials, zillennials, and Gen Z are growing more and more tired of all of this? Have we never questioned why these generations especially are nostalgically yearning for and attempting to bring back cultural artifacts of the 90s and the early 2000s with the whole resurgence of the Y2K movement? Whether you like it or not, we're slowly yet surely returning to simplicity in the technology that surrounds us all. Vinyls, cassettes, and CDs are back stronger than ever. Flip phones, Polaroid cameras, and VHS aesthetics have become the new weapon to discreetly fight against the overabundance of technological control. And as much as Gen Z likes to harp on the perceived cringiness of millennial fashion trends, they simultaneously embrace baggy jeans, flannel shirts, and spending weekends thrifting for vintage band shirts, and have turned it into the new zeitgeist amongst the anti-algorithm collective. It's no wonder that the most common criticism thrown towards Gen Z and younger is that they lack any kind of unique cultural identity. Because for so many of them who only know a life run by invisible and intangible likes, comments, and engagement, they weren't given the space or time to create any kind of cultural identity for themselves without it being shut down or destroyed by everybody else around them. How I see it is, the internet used to be like a potluck, where...
But it still is a potluck. That's why there is no unique culture anymore. That's why the youth have not created unique cultures of their own. It is because the internet has turned into the, what would you call it? The local social group, right? Within communities, you have local social groups. You have, you normally have a unified group where everybody essentially follows the same trends. They dress similarly, they listen to the same music, they watch the same shows, and they socialize based on these same interests. The internet has taken that and completely blown it up to new proportions. So now everybody is a member of this new social group. And typically the way that you have differences in social groups is, there are different ones in different regions for different reasons. But now everybody is tuned into the exact same social group. And at the same time, well, actually, Yeah, I guess it's just unified everything into a melting pot.
Everybody would come together and bring some kind of special homemade item. It may not have always been of the highest quality, but there was genuine thought and care put into each item that was set on the table. But now it's turned into something akin to a vast sea of fast food trucks and cheap candy stalls filled to the brim with artificial colors and flavors, where every shelf is packed with the same items repackaged into different wrappings and logos because they found out how much potential revenue they can sap out without being immediately called out for it.
But that's because the masses aren't unique and the masses are not creative. Within these social groups, when they were isolated, people would just, rehash the same old ideas and the same old trends in different ways. And now you have that on a global scale.
And look, that's not to say that there isn't any good metaphorical food left to eat. It's just that it's gotten harder and harder than ever before to finally come across a sizable plate of it without being exposed to the same unhealthy, derivative, tasteless crap over and over again. The biggest trap in all of this is that the modern internet ecosystem has fried our collective brains to such an extent where even if you do realize the fault in the system and decide to unplug from it, we don't know what to do with ourselves anymore. The looming hand of FOMO will always live rent-free in the back of your mind even when you're offline, until you finally crack and return to the web like a starving spider. We're constantly...
That's usually how it happens, yes. And in social groups, if you're ousted from the group or if you remove yourself from the group, you want to return because you feel more at home in the group.
Anxiety driven with the hypothetical thought of, what is the internet saying about me? What is this anonymous group of people that I will most likely never interact with in the real world saying about this one hyper-specific thing I may or may not also want to interact?
Yeah. That's just, again, how social groups work. You want validation from your social group, you want acknowledgement, and you want to be recognized by them. And so you play into the things that they enjoy, you play into the things that they talk about and the opinions that they hold in order to gain that validation.
With. I mean, what the hell could I possibly be missing out on all this time? I know I'm going to sound like a straight up unk here if I haven't already sounded like one for the past 10 minutes or so, but nobody actually cares, and you shouldn't either. There's a reason why I'm not on the internet as much as I used to be. Not only since it had...
Actually, if Joey was a real unk, he would recognize the fact that we've already had this discussion. We've already had this discussion on the internet. And we had this discussion regarding social life in the real world, right? People would go to the internet to vent out their personal issues about how their social group was rejecting them, ousting them, seemingly mistreating them. And everyone came together. No, well, this wasn't just in the internet. This was also on media as a whole. And we agreed that the proper message to give these people is no one actually cares, and you shouldn't either. You should just express yourself the way that you want, so on and so forth. And what, now we're having the same discussion, but instead about, real life social groups rejecting you, we're doing it about internet social groups rejecting you.
Has grown immensely exhausting to try to keep up with everything that's going on, but because I realized that I don't actually care about most of it. There is no future I can see when I'm old and decrepit in the nursing home, the light fading from my eyes as I think to myself, man, if only I'd spent a little more time vicariously arguing with anonymous people on the internet. And please understand that I don't intend to completely blame people's codependency to social media for all the problems in the world. I understand that social media and the internet in general has its benefits depending on where you look. But too many people are forgetting the concept of moderation over obsession. Because if this idea isn't understood in the possible future where social media and the current internet ecosystem completely dissolves through our fingers and disappears without a trace, we'll all be left defenselessly stranded to face the quote-unquote real world again. And the ones that will prevail are the ones who learn that the world is so much more beautiful and fascinating than anything you will experience on the internet today. What was once a place filled with genuine interaction.
You see, the funny thing is that people before were making this exact same comment about your local social group, right? The world is not your local social group. There is more out there. Go out there and explore it. And now people are having the same conversation about the internet. The internet is not all that's out there. Get out of the internet and go explore the real world now.
Experience on the internet today. What was once a place filled with genuine interaction, real connectivity, and brilliant spouts of independently driven culture is now a giant chasm filled with absolutely nothing of note. We used to escape to the internet to get away from the real world. And now we're trying to escape to the real world to get away from the internet. And I'm
Thank you for finally recognizing it.
genuinely sad I feel this way. And I'm sure many people watching this video might feel the same, because I don't want the internet to be like this forever.
It might not be. It's just this constant cycle of where are the people congregating at, right? People always find social spaces to congregate to get away from their problems. And then everybody congregates to those spaces and perpetuates the problems that they're running from. And so then you run to a new space and so on and so forth. The cycle continues.
I truly don't. I honestly do wish that we can go back to a time where you were giddy and genuinely excited to go onto the internet, to feel that childlike wonder that I once felt when I was younger. Here's a little experiment you can do after you finish watching this video. Go into your phone settings and look up your weekly active screen time. And whatever amount you see written there, no matter how high or low it may be, try to aim to lower that amount by a single hour. Whether you have to put your phone in a locked box with a timer on it, or replace your doom scrolling time with a new hobby that doesn't involve going online, whatever you can afford to do, try to genuinely do it for at least 1 week. And if you manage to successfully do that, keep on repeating the process until everything starts to click in your head. And you'll know when it clicks in your head. I started doing this exact thing roughly last year or so. I mean, I completely stopped going onto sites like Twitter, for example. And in my case, I started gaming more offline, going out to see friends, go for walks around my neighborhood, or do offline hobbies like reading and writing. I know it might sound overly sappy and cliche, I know, but after doing this little experiment for the past year, I have genuinely never been happier and more content with my life. Because whether you like to believe it or not, the internet is a depressing place now. And if you also think so, then take a step back. Log off for a little bit, look around you, and ask yourself what you can do to change it up, one step at a time. Don't let the internet live your life for you. Thanks for watching.
Don't let the internet live your life for you. Again, we used to say these exact same things about our local social groups. Don't let your parents live your life for you. Don't let your family as a whole live your life for you. Don't let your friend groups live your life for you, so on and so forth. Don't let your neighbors live your life for you. Don't keep up with the Joneses. This is unfortunately just what people do. And yep, that was a video not by the Anime Man. Nobody knows who the hell that is. Nope, he doesn't exist. This was Joey Bissinger. Who's next now?
Oh, they're calling this Asmongold's worst take. I haven't heard it.
he's had a lot of bad takes. When he had that rainbow shirt on, that was when they were mostly made. But all jokes aside, this is a video by Tectone, the one and only bald man. This video was uploaded when? Just 17 hours ago. Wow, just yesterday. So this is Asmongold's Career is Over by Tectone.
Haven't heard it. I heard Sneeko freak the fuck over this. I'm going to see what this apparently catastrophic Nazi-like take is, and I'm going to see once again, can we explain it? Can we defend it? I am, by the way, John Tectone. They call me Asmongold, second in command. People always tell me that.
Shut the hell up, bro. Really?
Asmongold says this horrific shit. I've yet to see him say anything that isn't defensible. His current worst take is that there are inferior cultures that have genocide baked into them.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys. That is literally the most milquetoast take ever. We all know and we all understand that there are literally cultures of war. There are literally cultures of cannibalism. Like, hello?
Yeah, duh. By the way, Asmongold apologized for that. He should have never apologized for that because everybody knows that certain cultures are inferior. Would we like to talk about the New Guinea cum warriors, where the New Guinea...
That has definitely become one of my favorite examples for sure. All right, so give me a second, y'all, because I just realized I never did a sound check on my stream, and this whole stream might have been completely for naught if it turns out that my sound was completely horrid. Honestly, I think my audio is doing pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna say my audio is doing pretty good. Pretty good. I just bumped up the rain a little bit because I do like to be able to hear it. Gonna bump it up just a smidget, like the tiniest little fart. Just give me a little more rain, please. Just a tiny bit. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm liking that. Alright. So that's done. So, like I said, that's done. I'm gonna put my headphones back on. And we are back with Tectone.
Cum warriors take every adult male in the village and they 6 to 10-year-old children so that way they're ready for battle. Yeah, do we want to act like all cultures are the same? Hey.
Oh, he had to censor that. He had to censor that. Sad life. So yeah, they do unspeakable things to young males in order to prepare them for battle. And yeah, they're not called the New Guinea Cum Warriors for no reason.
John Tectone here. I would like to say I think the United States culture is just a little bit than promoting minor gay child gang rape. But that's just me. Anyways, here we go. Let's talk about Asmongold's quote-unquote worst take so far. Saw that I got a dono. I'm going to talk about that after the video. Let's get into it. If you like this type of content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it.
Is shoot 'em, problem solved? That's what I would do.
Shoot 'em, problem solved. They're obviously talking about Spain getting invaded by a bunch of, I believe it was African. It says Moroccan migrants. I thought it was African, which I believe Morocco is in Africa. Let me double check here real quick.
Yeah, Morocco is in Africa, right? Like right on the very edge of Africa.
Yeah, it's in the northwestern corner of the continent of Africa. Glad I knew that. Don't ask for the date of World War II. Let's talk about it.
That's what I think they should. I think they should just fucking shoot 'em. Like, I've said this before. Like, I know that it might sound like, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. I have no sympathy for doing that, and I would do that in a second.
I think if our borders are not taken seriously, then our countries are not going to be taken seriously. And if our borders aren't taken seriously, which leads to our countries not taken seriously, what they're attempting to do, our entire country falls apart if we don't get immigration under control. That's the number one thing. If you can't control who is coming in and who is coming out of your country falls to pieces. Everybody knows this. I want to reference a game called World of Warcraft. If you get a raid group of 25 individuals from your guild, that raid is going to go infinitely smoother than if you have 5 guildies and 20 randoms. Everybody knows this, especially if you don't check their gear, you don't check their comms, you don't check their achievements. If you check nothing and all these unchecked people randomly queue in, you're going to get disconnects, you're going to get AFKs, you're going to get random pulls, you're going to get fucked up cooldowns. Everybody knows this. Your country needs to work like a guild group in World of Warcraft, because if it doesn't, then your country is going to fall apart.
The best machine is a well-optimized, well-oiled, well-coordinated machine, right? That's essentially the argument. If you have a disjointed, unorganized, completely unmaintenanced machine, then you'll start to have failures in various points. Everything will start to fracture, everything will start to slowly fall apart.
And the reality is, we have told these people to stop coming here illegally, to stop here coming illegally, to stop here coming illegally. It's very hard to not understand that at this point. So if these people are getting on boats, literal boats, and if you want to know the context of this clip, here it is. So they got into boats, and 6,000 Moroccan migrants swarmed Spain because they realized Spain is a...
How many?
So they got into boats, and 6,000 Moroccan migrants.
6,000? Tectone, I think it was more than that, wasn't it? Let's see, how can we search for this? Estimates on how many people crossed into Ceuta from Morocco through the sea. During the mass border surge into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta in late July 2026, an estimated 50 to 60,000. Not 6,000.
Swarm Spain. Because
Let's actually get a point of reference for that. How much even is 50 to 60,000? Do we have any population groups in the US of 50 through 60,000. Okay, so the size of 50 to 60,000 people is essentially equivalent to a mid-sized U.S. city. Olympia has a population of 55,000. That's in Washington. Hoboken in New Jersey has a population of 58,000. Damn. Pensacola, Florida, population of 53,000. Chapel Hill in North Carolina has a population of 61,000. That's pretty freaking insane. An entire U.S. city moved into Ceuta. How much is Ceuta's population? There are approximately 84,000 people living in Ceuta. Their population nearly doubled. Just one day, randomly. Damn.
They realized Spain is a great country, and so they wanted to ruin it.
Ooh, one more question. If Ceuta were compared to a U.S. state or city, based on what do we call this? Square feet, right? What is the size of Ceuta compared to a U.S. state or city? Okay, so the area of Ceuta is 189.13 million square feet. Compared to any U.S. state, let's see, about the size of Rhode Island. Rhode Island is 1,200 square feet. How much did we say for Ceuta? $199 million square feet? Am I reading this right? Wait a second. Oh my gosh. There we go. Wait. Okay. That's insane. It gave me this roundabout way of explaining this issue to me. So it's not square feet for Rhode Island. It's 1,200 square miles. So you could technically fit 170 Ceutas within Rhode Island alone. Rhode Island is the smallest state in the US. That's insane. And apparently the size of Ceuta fits perfectly within several mid-sized American towns and cities, which include Rio Vista in California, or I mean this is American, so Rio Vista, Castleberry in Florida, Pepper Pike in Ohio, and Ranger, Texas. They are all within the 7 square mile range. Yeah, 7 square miles. So Ceuta isn't even the size of a U.S. state. It's literally the size of a small city, just a regular town.
By coming in by the thousands because, well, they can't stop all of us. At this point, they know intentionally what they're doing, and they do. It would be a benefit to just simply get rid of them because clearly they would rather be in a jail in Spain rather than go to their own shitty fucking country. Oh, 60,000. Sorry, not 6,000, 60,000. Yeah, what else do you want us to do? What else do you want us to do at this point? Because if 60,000 of these people are going to start invading and attempting to outbreed all of the white folk and take over our countries from the inside, eventually at a certain point, if they want to be in our jails more than their own countries, which is also going to ruin our country because, by the way, it costs a lot of money to keep people in jail. Do you want to know how much money the United States spends on jailing people every year? Somewhere between the ballpark of 60 to 80 million dollars every single year. Let me double check that. Let me show you how much of your tax dollars are going to make sure that prisoners are comfortable in the United States of America. This number is going to absolutely drive you.
Don't even tell me. I learned about this in high school, and my immediate eureka sort of, brain blast moment, or what would you say? Not brain blast moment, but yeah, I guess brain blast moment was just the realization that we should put prisoners to work. Like, what are we doing? We pay so much on running prisons, and we don't have them work? Why? We don't have them contribute to the cost of keeping them there? That doesn't make any sense to me, right? As citizens, we put people in prison to isolate them from the rest of the population so that they don't inconvenience us when we're trying to do our daily normal tasks and trying to be productive. And so then we are also on top of that paying to isolate them, further inconveniencing us. Like, why don't we have them pay for themselves? Why don't we have them upkeep their own system so that they can at least contribute to their own survival rather than constantly be taking from us who are just trying to run normal lives?
Fucking insane. And I want to keep in mind, oh my god, that's way worse, guys. 100 to 120 billion.
Once again, he was way off. What did he say it was?
I'll check that. Let me show you how much of your tax every single year. Let me double check that. Let me show you how much of your tax dollars are going to make sure that prisoners are comfortable in the United States of America. This number is going to absolutely drive you fucking insane. And I want to keep in mind, oh my god, that's way worse, guys.
Oh, never mind. He didn't give a figure. I thought he had, but I was just mistaken.
100 to 120 billion per year on corrections related to prisons and jails. So yes, we don't want to keep them in our jails and prison because it costs a lot of money. Neither do other countries, and that's what they do. So at a certain point, we can't jail them. We can't tell them to go back. You only really leave us with one more option.
Because it's the right thing to do in the long term. You can never look at, in a very, very isolated incident, you could say, and there's always, this is emotional blackmail, right? Well, you can't shoot these people, they have kids with them. Well, then don't bring your kids.
Yep.
If you don't want to get shot, then don't bring your fucking kids.
Yep.
I do think, regardless of where you are, frontiers should be a dangerous position. Only those who have the commitment to risk it all should be entering frontiers. This is how it's always been. And yeah, don't... It sounds so bad when you put it that way, right? It sounds so bad when you say don't bring your kids because it's dangerous. And then people are just going to respond with, well, then don't make it dangerous. But why would anyone risk their children? Why would anyone put their children in a risky position? That is a horrible strategy. That should be looked down upon, right? If you see somebody who is putting their children in a difficult situation, that's the funny thing too, right? We see people judge others for putting their children in difficult financial situations, but we don't ever question the people who put their children in risky physical situations. People who bring their children to protests, people who smuggle their children across borders, people who put their children through essentially physical treks that could end up killing them.
Yep.
It's really simple.
Very true. You can't say that someone committing a crime, but they're committing a crime with their kids, so now we can't hold them liable. What the fuck are we talking about? Don't bring your kids then. Your kids didn't have to be there. You brought them into this environment. It's your damn fault. And you're not going to blame the country for taking matters into their own hand because, well, what about this photo of this one crying child? I'm sorry, bro. If you can't handle the heat, don't enter the kitchen. And it's these same people, and this is the truth, by the way. It's the same people. So there were teachers who were bringing students, this is in our own country, in preschool students and kindergarten through 5th grade students, and they were bringing them to anti-ICE riots. And let me tell you why these teachers do that. Because they want an ICE officer to misfire and hit a child. That way, there could be headlines of ICE agent shoots a child. That's what these people are doing. That's what these people are.
And it's not just that. Unfortunately, the reason why people bring their children to physically dangerous situations is because they want to use them as a shield. Not, how can I say this? Sometimes it's not a literal shield. Like, I want my child to, essentially take a hit for me. But sometimes it's just a metaphorical shield, right? I brought my child to the border to cross illegally because I want to have an assurance that I will not be attacked and physically harmed, right? They're going to see my child and they're going to back off. They're going to be more light with me. They're going to treat me better. That type of shield. And actually that's funny because I look at Tectone's chat and people are literally typing human shields. Yeah. You don't have to be a direct shield, but they don't have to be literal shields, but they are used as cushions. They are used as cushions to be seen more favorably and to be given lesser punishments and to be treated more softly.
Doing. That's why countries like Iran are putting elementary schools next to their military bases. That way they can put the headline of United States bombs in elementary school. They don't tell you it's attached to the military base. That's another real story, by the way. These people are intentionally putting children in harm's way. That way they can villainize the countries that need to protect themselves. These people are animals. These people are monsters, and we must not have weakness for monsters' tactics because they know what they're doing. They're abusing our sympathy. They're abusing our morality because they have none. And they want to destroy us. And everybody knows this. Let's keep going here.
You mean you'd shoot adults and deport the kids, right? Well, I'd shoot whoever. Yeah, I'd shoot whoever.
And how do I know that people try to gain sympathy by bringing their children along? Unfortunately, I lived through that. Unfortunately, I know about that because I have personal experience with it. People just try their best to find favorable outcomes for themselves in whichever way that they can. And having children present is one of those ways that you can easily gain favorability. Right? You have your children with you. Why why would someone try and harm you? Why would someone try to cause trouble for you?
I mean, if it's kids, women, men, anybody, just shoot them. They're going to stop coming over.
Yep.
Because if you don't do that, they'll use children and women as shields to get themselves over.
Which we've already seen this documented in history. And guys, it's not on us to be the good guys. It's not. We're doing what's best for our country. And you have to understand, the people who shoot the kids, the people who shoot the men, the people who shoot the women, they're not the bad people. They're not. And they're going to try to convince you that they are. But the reality is, these are monsters using children on shields. Oh, by the way, talking about literal shields, there was another group in another country where they put children on shields. So that way people couldn't defend themselves as if they were invading their territory. It is psychotic, barbaric behavior. And everybody knows these people are monsters, but that's not what the media is going to tell you. They're going to tell you a child got shot, an elementary school got bombed. They're not going to tell you that their own country sacrificed these people in order to make that happen. And it's disgusting. The levels of propaganda our people are underneath who actually think that the United States are the bad guys is preposterously high. And people fall for it every day.
And then
These are demons. They are demons. There is no other word for it than parasitic demons. And we must exterminate the demons.
they'll put more women and children at risk because they know that they can use them as collateral so they can get more of themselves over. That's the way it works.
Yep.
That's
They want out of their own countries so bad, they're willing to kill their own women and children for it. And they blame us. Here's a better idea. If you couldn't fix your own country, stay the fuck out of ours. Okay? I'm pretty sure if these 60,000 Moroccan illegal immigrants were to just, I don't know, put in a little bit of effort, they could probably make some decent change.
And that's actually crazy, because there was figures from what I remember. What percentage of Morocco is unemployed and outside of education? One-third. Roughly one-third of the entire country of Morocco's young population, that's ages 15 to 29, are outside of work and education. That's insane. 15 to 29. They don't have jobs. They don't have school. They just roam around and do nothing.
Just a thought. But they don't want to do that. They want to be lazy and they want to live off the backs of other countries.
the way an animal.
And that's exactly what's going on, right? They don't have a job. They don't have education. They have nothing that they're doing with their lives. And so they're going to Spain to try to gain some resources, to gain some access to a means of sustaining themselves.
Things, and these people are animals. They're
Yes.
savages. Absolute fucking savages.
True.
Hamas tactics, yeah, terrorists.
Yep, they are.
Of course you don't want to do that.
Yep.
Doesn't mean you want to do it.
No, we don't want to do it, but we have to do it.
But you have to do what you need to do in order to enforce your borders, man.
Yep, you have to.
Like, that's the way it is.
Because here's the reality. If borders don't exist, and you guys don't want this, people outside of the country, you don't want this. If borders don't exist and everything can be occupied by force, the United States is going to mow down every country on this fucking earth. You want to act like we're afraid of Russia? Bro, Russia couldn't even beat Ukraine.
Yeah, actually, that's the funniest part. The people who proclaim that borders don't exist and the world should be free to move and migrate wherever it is that they please are the same people who are against colonialism. if you truly believe that borders don't exist, then colonialism is completely valid and justified because, well, people just moved wherever it was that they wanted to move to in order to create better, outcomes for themselves. So then population replacement is okay. So then the US is completely fine in their history of replacing the native populations with Europeans. Like, what are we talking about, guys? Nobody has any consistent logic or reason anymore.
Okay.
Which, by the way, my stance is my stance is that it's not okay, but it's inevitable, right? You shouldn't go to someone's house and take it over. But unfortunately, that's what people do. That's what people are going to do. They're going to try to move into your house and take it over. And at that point, the responsibility falls on you. You should be able to defend your house. If you can't, I'm sorry, it's no longer your house.
Russia's a fucking joke. And we all know that shit. Borders are for everybody else's safety. And if we don't respect these, then we're gonna mow everybody the fuck down. We're gonna take all your shit and we're gonna bring it back here. So here's an idea. If you want to immigrate, do it legally. Do it legally. And when you go to a country, ask not what this country can do for you. Ask yourself what you can do for this country. Because if people were coming over here to make the country a better place, there would be no problems. There would be no problems. But the problem is these people want to come over. They want to live off of welfare. Fun fact, 96% of Somalians are living off of welfare in the United States. That's why we got to get them the fuck out. And these aren't Somalians who just came here. Somalians who have been here for over 8 years, 96% of them are on welfare. They are making your groceries cost more. They are making your life cost more. I don't need parasites in my country, and neither do any of these other countries. Fix your own shit. And I say it every day. Brother, Detroit is a shithole. Until the United States is good to go, I don't want to help anybody else out. I am America first. Just like every other country should be their country first. And I don't want to fix anybody else's shit until we get our shit under control. You wouldn't operate on an engine with broken tools.
People are too emotional to see that. Yeah, I mean, like, again, like it's you can't make decisions that way. And I understand the way that I talk about this might be a little bit extreme. It might be a little.
It's only extreme because how quickly and how lack of explanation you give it. And retards need to be spoon-fed what you mean. Now, everybody who
unfortunately
watches this video, they understand what Azra means. They understand what I mean. But the people who clip chimp this shit and post it on Twitter, they don't understand it. And you want to know why they don't understand it? Because they don't want to. They don't want to. The majority of leftist discourse is them intentionally not understanding why you're saying what you're saying. And that's the truth. They want to be intentionally ignorant so they can be outraged just because you are not aligned politically. And that's the goddamn truth. And everybody knows it.
A little bit, unemotional.
Low IQ monkey behavior.
I wish we had more people like me. I do. I wish we had more, because we got too many pussies that are too worried about the optics of something rather than the reality of it. The
True.
reality of it is that if you allow people to use kids as a shield to come over, they're going to use kids as a shield to come over.
Yep.
And that's going to cause a net increase of child exploitation,
Yep.
a net increase of child suffering.
Yep.
And we saw this during the Biden years, unfortunately. Gosh dang it, how many times do I have to talk about this? It's freaking insane. I don't understand how nobody is losing their minds over this. We literally had child trafficking sanctioned by the government under Joe Biden. It was absurdity. It was complete dystopia. We were letting people in without verifying that the children that they had with them were in fact their own children. We removed the requirements of DNA tests for people bringing children through the border. We then allowed anybody to come through the border. People were not required to verify that the children they were bringing over were their own. And then we took those children and put them in shelters where the freaking shelters were literal cesspools of child abuse. Nobody was looking after the people looking after the children. And so they were abusing these children and then shipping them out to random locations throughout the US. So nobody was verifying that whose children these were coming in. Then they were placing them in shelters. No one was verifying that the shelters were actually taking care of them. And then they were sent out to unverified people throughout the US. And no one was verifying who they were being sent to and where. Why were they being sent out to these locations? Because they didn't want the children in the shelters anymore. Because they didn't want these children under immigration custody. So they were sending them out to family members. But unfortunately, again, no one was verifying who they were sending them out to, or why, or where. It was just extremely, extremely frustrating. There were stories of these kids being sent out to literal empty lots. These kids were being sent out to homes where, oddly enough, everything seemed normal. They were normal working families, cooking, cleaning, taking care of their children. But this was like at 3 a.m. on a weekday. These people were actively going through their daily routines at 3 a.m. on a weekday. There were children who were being shipped out to I don't know, well, I'm pretty sure I can say this, to literal strip clubs. So yeah, we already know the consequences of this, and we're not talking about them. We already know what happens when you allow people to just come through without checking them. It creates a lot of crime and it creates a lot of chaos that inevitably generates human suffering. But nobody wants to acknowledge that.
And it's better to just say nobody can come over and shoot anybody than try to create winning solutions for these people so they can take advantage of them by further exploiting those groups of people that you think you don't want to shoot.
A minimum action today can prevent a maximum action of tomorrow. If these people know their barbaric tactics work, do you think they're going to stop? No. They're going to say, oh, this is how it works. We just bring children and we put them in front of us. That way they can't do anything. No. A little bit today saves a lot tomorrow. It's very simple.
Come on, I think this is it.
Can you shut your face, bro? Get out of here.
That's just how it is. You say you shoot kids? Yeah. No, that's. I mean, obviously that's what I said, right? I mean, like that's clearly like. I mean, that's. Like, I don't know why. Like, why would you repeat it to me as if I didn't say it?
Yep.
That's literally exactly what I said. That's the reasoning for it. That's my logic. That's exactly what I would do, and I wouldn't even have any question for it.
Yep.
Come on. Well, I'm gonna pull one more up. Keep the kids, deport their families. What do you think the kids do? The kids grow.
Why would you keep the kids? That's retarded. You're gonna separate a child from their family and put them in an environment that they know nothing about. What kind of freaking oh my gosh. That's literal retardation. What kind of human torture are you willing to go through? What kind of human torture are you willing to justify just to seem righteous?
Up and they resent you for supporting their families to turn to terrorists.
There it is.
The kids grow up and they resent you for supporting their families to turn to terrorists.
There it is.
No. You present a very specific scenario, just shooting into a crowd, and now there happen to be kids too? Of course, because that's the reality. Because if you have kids in the crowd, then kids are going to get killed in the crowd.
Yep.
Then you're going to use the emotional weight of the kids getting killed in the crowd as a justification to not shoot the crowds.
Yep.
But you think that shooting the crowds is the correct option, which means that you would be okay taking the risk of killing the kids,
Yep.
which means that killing the kids is somehow acceptable, which means
Yep.
that doing that is not a big deal.
Yep.
And you'd be okay with it as well.
True.
You're ignoring how the sausage is made because you don't want to feel bad about the outcome.
Yep.
But
You have to understand that bacon comes from somewhere. That steak comes from somewhere. You living in ignorance of that fact doesn't make you a better person.
the reality is that
It just makes you an uninformed one.
any way that you logically deduce this reality, you will immediately come out with bad behavior.
Yep.
You understand? You just create a human shield defense? Of course. All I'm saying is don't pull the kids aside and shoot them if you had a choice. Well, I don't.
Why would you do that? Why would you, like, literally willingly go out of your way to be like, okay, let's separate you guys, and kids here, adults there, you're all getting shot? What the frick?
I don't think they should pull them aside. No one wants to feel bad about the outcome. Well, of course, I mean, like,
If everything could be handled perfectly, obviously we would do that. But obviously things can't be handled perfectly. Obviously. Because the scenario already happened and they were defenseless. And now there's 60,000 illegal immigrants that are all in Spain because they were too weak to do what they needed to do.
yeah, actually, I don't care about feeling bad about the outcome at all.
And I want to let every illegal immigrant or potential illegal immigrant go. No. Just get on a boat, go to California. They'll welcome you with open arms. If you would like to ruin the United States, look no further than California. They will let you in. Go, have fun, guys, have fun. There, hey, it's right on the coast. Go ahead, get in there.
I care about feeling bad about that I did the wrong thing. This is the kind of guy that falls hook, line, and sinker for the Hamas propaganda because he can't see past kids. It's so sad, man.
Yep,
It's honestly so sad the amount of people that are emotionally captured by this.
yep. The reality is, Asmongold has had a lot of bad takes. This is not one of them. This is the common sense take. It is not our responsibility to ensure the safety of other countries when criminals are committing violent acts and they are putting their own children at risk. That's on them. It's not on us. Sneeko responds with, Asmongold must be the dumbest commentator I have ever seen in my life. Demonic filth, not even a human. Shut the fuck up, you Islamic, Muslimic. Also, fun fact, self-proclaimed pedophile. Jesus Christ. And once again, I don't think Sneeko's a pedophile. I just think he's a retard. Anyways, catch y'all on the next one. Like, comment, share. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I have been waiting for you.
Blue Chew Gold works differently than what
My PB works! Stop trying to sell me PB medicine! Alright, so next up we've got Liberal Hive Mind with a video titled No YouTube Premium, get the hell out of here. Muslims thought they could steal election. Then this happened. I wonder what happened. This was from 14 hours ago. Again, an upload from yesterday. So let's find out. What happened?
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. You know, if you really want to get to know someone, you have to be observant. And I think the greatest cues are usually how somebody reacts. It's less about what somebody says, the way they want to present themselves, and more how they react in certain situations. That's usually where you can tell somebody's moral character, whether you can truly trust somebody or not. And that same kind of interpersonal wisdom, I think it applies on a broader, larger larger scale as well in this case, in terms of analyzing political parties. And while you could probably get where I'm going with this, all you need to know about the Democrats is by seeing their reaction to basic measures of election integrity. This is a group of people that is constantly, and I mean constantly, talking about democracy. Oh, the importance of democracy. But then for some reason, when it comes to basic safeguards to protect said democracy, to ensure that the democracy itself is legitimate, to reinforce the trust in said system from the actual participants of said democracy, all of a sudden they act like it's the greatest sin ever engaged in. How dare you? Or they laugh it off and claim that it's illegitimate, or that it's somehow an evidence of Donald Trump's Hitlerian fascism. This, my friends, tells you all that you need to know about these actors and what their true, deep down intentions really are. And we got another perfect example here. President Trump just made a major announcement. The DOJ is being deployed to do some election monitoring at polling sites in Detroit. And while you could get how this is being perceived, I want to cut through all the BS because there's actually a lot to say here. Let's go ahead and get into that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, this popped up on my timeline. Roz Alert says DOJ deploys election monitoring to polling sites in Detroit, Hamtramck, Lansing, and East Lansing to guard against election fraud during Michigan's primary. And if you read the comments, it's absolutely wild. This administration consists of the biggest crybabies ever. This is treason. The federal government has no authority or jurisdiction in Michigan or Michigan elections. And it just goes on and on and on. This is treason, they say. It's a waste of time, a waste of resources. That, I gotta say, is a little bit rich coming from the party of wasting taxpayer dollars. What are Democrats known for, if not overspending and under-delivering to an extreme degree? Apparently, it's worth spending millions upon millions of dollars sending money to drag queen story hour initiatives abroad and random developing and third world nations. But spending money engaging in basic safeguarding of American elections, yeah, apparently that's an insult. Apparently that's a waste of dollars, a waste of taxpayer monies. But personally, I can't think of any better way to spend money, especially when you think about the return on investment. Actual election day is relatively short. In fact, it's in the name. It's a day, or at least it should be. The new experience seems to be something more along the lines of election month, but that's another topic of discussion. The point is, actual election day, same day, in-person voting, it's a single day, and then comes, of course, the counting, which should also be a day. We're not talking about a 365-day DOJ deployment. We're talking about one day spending however many millions of dollars making sure that there's no funny business. And these people seem to have a problem with that. No, that is a worthy investment. We're talking an absolute fraction of a fraction of a fraction of total federal government expenditures on possibly one of the most important things. Not to mention, a lot of this money is going to be going in the pockets of lower to upper mid-level federal employees. It's stimulating in a sense. It's putting the money in middle-class people's pockets, which is a good way to spend money, rather than Democrat NGO projects that are being siphoned off at the top level. But yet Democrats want to gaslight you into thinking that it's a waste. And of course, they make that argument based on the fact that it's a waste of time because, well, there's nothing to see here. Well, how do you know that? And also, what a disingenuous argument to make considering everything that we've seen. I mean, especially what we know in Michigan in particular. Let's talk about Michigan, shall we? Especially Hamtramck, Michigan.
It's kind of like saying we shouldn't, waste time and effort investigating because we're never going to find anything. And it's just like, but isn't that why you investigate? To see what you find and see if you can find anything, right?
Michigan and Dearborn, Michigan, the new Islamic enclaves in Michigan. Well, are Democrats aware that these places have been hotbeds for election fraud? Are Democrats aware that multiple candidates, Democrat candidates of course, have been embroiled in massive election fraud, electioneering schemes? Do they know this?
The black pickup truck pulling up outside Hamtramck City Hall in the middle of the night, just days before the primary election. All of a sudden, the lights turn on inside the truck. That's when you spot 3 men inside, including what appears to be Council Member Abu Musa in the back seat, the same council member who is seeking re-election right now. The video then shows the driver getting out and stuffing absentee ballots into the drop box. The only problem? They don't all fit. He then starts pushing them in before reaching for 2 more stacks.
I remember this. This was a couple of years ago. I think probably like 2024 or something like that, right?
The whole time looking around to see if anyone is watching. After about 2 minutes, the group drives away. And get this, Local 4 found that it happened again, only 4 days later. This time, a different car pulling up, with what appears to be the same council member in the passenger seat. He then starts handing bundles of ballots to the driver, dropping off 3 large stacks. City election results show Musa received 1,129 votes during the primary, making him the top contender for city council in November. Michigan State Police confirmed the videos are part of an ongoing investigation.
There have been multiple instances just in Hamtramck, Michigan alone. If I'm not mistaken, as it currently stands, I think 3 out of 6 of their council members are currently facing investigation of election rigging. Not to mention what happened in Wayne County during the 2020 election. During all the counting, people were having big-time concerns of these late mail-in ballot drops that were going for Joe Biden at 99.99999%, flipping the election night by night as the days and weeks of counting continued. And what was the culture of transparency? Oh yeah, I remember vividly getting these massive poster boards and blocking the damn windows as they counted.
The frick are you watching, bro? Why is this a game? Bruh.
Which is obviously wrong, obviously untrustworthy, shady, the antithesis of what you should expect in a free, open, transparent democracy. And so there's some real concerns to tackle here. All this nonsense rhetoric coming from the left that there's no justification to this, it's complete BS. No, there's major problems, especially when it comes to oversight. Democrats always lean onto the state sovereignty argument. Michigan runs its own elections, and that's mostly true. But when it comes to a federal election, that's completely false. They're supposed to be coordinating with the feds, and also they're supposed to be bipartisan polling watching, people from both sides and people in the middle. That's not what we've seen in major Democrat counties. They've essentially bastardized the process, and so now the DOJ is simply trying to get ahead of that and just to ensure that things are happening properly and appropriately, to create an extra layer of eyes and security in the case that if there are bad actors and people who seek to subvert the will of the American people, that those people don't get any funny ideas as there's more eyes looking around. There's only positives, folks. And honestly, the positives even extend to the Democrats, because let's say the Democrats are right, hypothetically, and that really there is no Democrat NGO funny business going around. If the 2020 election and American elections in general are the most secure, well then wouldn't you want to prove it? Wouldn't you want the most stringent election security measures to ensure that not only that you're right, but also to prove that you're right? See? Even with the election integrity measures, the results are still pretty much in line. They're pretty much the same. Don't you wish we could go back in time and put in all kinds of voter ID verification, have a real chain of custody proof, and a guarantee that the people casting these mail-in ballots were absolutely real people who intended to vote and not victims of identity theft or these ballot harvesting schemes? Wouldn't you want to go back and put in all these measures in place and then still see Joe Biden get 85 million votes? Yeah, right? If you were truly so confident that you were right, you wouldn't engage in pathetic, dismissive gaslighting. You would be willing to put it to the test. And for some reason, Democrats are unwilling. They freak out. They tell you it's Donald Trump fascism. He's sending people to the polls to intimidate people. As if that makes any sense, by the way. The only people that the DOJ or ICE would intimidate are people with illegal voting intentions. These topics should be non-controversial, but for some reason, they're highly controversial. Evidence of an existential crisis for the Democrats. And I wonder why that is. Is it an existential crisis for the country or their election strategies? Their political existence in its current form? I don't know. You be the judge. All I gotta say is, it's very interesting behavior now, isn't it? That's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Alright, so as I'm drawing, I'm trying to figure out what the hell I can do to layer the hair and the horns properly. So we'll see what I can think up. What the hell? Someone's claiming to have built a $130 PlayStation 5 Steam machine. Whatever the frick that means. You know what, we'll save that one for later. What to watch next? I've only got about half an hour before I gotta head out. We'll see, we'll see. How long is this?
I wanted the word cuppa as in cup of tea. I thought it would be great.
Oh my dog, bro. Shut up. This one's 31 minutes. This is a 12-minute video about a dumb device. Yeah, we'll watch the dumb device. So this is a video uploaded by, I don't even know how to pronounce this. It's just ASHTF. And the video is titled, "This Dumb Device Raised 100,000 in 18 hours."
Decision making to have input. Now listen.
The Pocket Mage. Interesting.
Despite tech companies giving their best effort, people seem to absolutely hate AI. Everyone wants the simplicity of older electronics back, and dedicated dumb devices are making a comeback as an escape from the noise.
Funny enough, I have actually been considering getting a dumb device. So I have various clocks throughout my house. This is a weird, like, see-through clock. And it's not as cool as I thought it would be, because it's see-through. It's sometimes just like I can't see what the hell is, you know, displaying. I have an alarm clock in my room. Every day goes off at the same time to let me know, hey yo, you gotta start heading out the door. Jeez, bless me. And the reason I have it rigged that way is, well, I already have my alarm on my phone. I don't really need, you know, a wake-up alarm. I mostly just need something to, like, immediately get my attention to go towards the door and actually start getting ready, you know, to leave. So I was actually thinking that I want to have a better clock than this see-through one over on my desk, where I can actually see the time and the day without having to reach for my phone every single time. But unfortunately, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't really find much other than like one device that allows you to have the time and the date on it. It's like this nice big chunky like digital clock type of thing. And other than that, it was all just copy paste digital calendars, and it was so annoying. They were all the exact same. I just wanted something simple and retro, but you just can't find stuff like that anymore.
I created Pocket Mage as a dedicated note-taking, productivity, and tinkering device. I found myself wanting a pocketable device that I could use to jot down quick thoughts, write notes, or manage my day without whipping out my smartphone. I wanted an escape from the AI-ification of everything, the data collection, and the attention engineering that comes with smartphones. Pocket Mage just launched recently on CrowdSupply, and as it stands today, Pocket Mage's crowdfunding campaign is at over 200% funded. This video is going to go over my process for bootstrapping the design, manufacturing, marketing, and crowdfunding of the Pocket Mage PDA. If at the end of this video you're interested in grabbing one, head to the description and check out the link to check it out.
Yo, is this e-ink? I really like e-ink displays. I found an old, what the hell is it called? What are those e-ink display readers called? Oh, Kindle. I recently found an old Kindle lying around, and unfortunately it doesn't work. So I couldn't really find much use for it. And then when the Steam Machine was unveiled, they had that e-ink display plate on the front, and then I thought that looked so cool.
Also consider subscribing if you want to follow the development of the Pocket Mage and my other projects down the line. Before we start the video, a quick word from a sponsor who helped to make this entire project possible. JLC PCB has been there since the beginning of this project, providing me with fast, high quality, and cost-effective prototype circuit boards.
That's crazy.
They've enabled me to iterate on my designs and create the device that you see today. They're super easy.
That's insane that we have this technology now. You can literally just pay somebody to help you develop like homemade electronics.
Easy to use, even for hobbyists, and I've found them very reliable at delivering working PCBs since I started ordering from them. The ordering process is super easy. You just upload your PCB Gerber file, select your board settings, and you get a quote almost instantly. Setting up PCB assembly is just a couple more clicks after that. Their boards are also affordable and fast. They have 1 to 8 layer PCBs that start at $2, and production happens in just 24 hours because of their large-scale production facilities. I've been using JLC for years, and I can honestly recommend them to anyone in need of some custom boards. Right now they're running a deal where you can get $30 off your order and high-quality 6-layer PCBs for $5 with no extra engineering fees for their 2 micro-inch ending finish.
It's a really good beat, but I'm gonna have to skip.
Click my link in the description to learn more, and thank you for listening to the sponsor segment. Let's get back to the video. Okay, so starting with the design. I began this project about 1.5 years ago, and since then I've made multiple large hardware iterations. In this video, I'll focus on the hardware iterations made between the beta production and this full production run. The main changes that I made were improvements to the power system, including tuning of the battery management and power circuit to vastly improve battery life. I also improved the e-paper driver circuit, which allowed faster refreshes and better contrast on the display. And based on feedback from the beta testers, I added a dedicated reset button, which allows you to quickly reset the device in case it gets stuck. Let's start with the power system updates. These changes aim to fix the Pocket Mage's poor standby battery time that we were seeing in the beta runs. The beta units lasted only about 7 days under normal use, which was less than I was hoping for. I discovered some inefficiencies with the system, such as the fact that many ICs didn't have a sleep mode and were drawing power from the battery even when the device was idle. To fix this, I implemented a load switch onto the board, which is essentially an electronic switch that can cut the power off to the ICs that don't need to be on while the device is sleeping. The ESP32 microcontroller itself just tells the load switch to turn off the ICs right before it goes to sleep. This alone helped save a ton of power, but it introduced a couple issues that took a few spins to resolve. At this point though, the battery drains much slower and the device is much more power efficient. In fact, you can see here a test that I'm running on the battery circuit. I have a battery hooked up here that I charged up to full, and then I've been marking the voltage of it every day on standby to see how long it takes for the battery to die. This board is 1 revision short of the latest, so it should have a lot better than the beta itself, which is this board, but it still has a few improvements that I need 1 more iteration to make. To give you an idea of how much the power use has improved, this beta board uses about 7 milliamps of current, has about 7 milliamps of sleep current, which means that the ICs that are on the device draw a total of 7 milliamps of current when the device should be sleeping and off and not pulling any current at all. Some of the ICs on here, like the real-time clock and the keyboard, need to stay on. The real-time clock so it can keep the time and date up to date and accurate when you return on the device, and the keyboard because you use the keyboard to wake up the device, so that needs to be active. Those both have low power modes, so they are not a problem, but what was a problem was the screen, some of the boost converters for the screens, and expansion port, and a few other little ICs on there that didn't need to stay on. And the load switch did help a whole lot with turning off those. And after a couple tweaks, we now have gone from 7 milliamps to 3. And I'm confident that I can get it even lower because I discovered that my boost converter that I'm using actually also has a low power mode that I'm not utilizing yet. On the e-ink side, there was an initial issue with the contrast of the e-ink main screen that was discovered by one of my community members. He pointed out that there was an incorrect resistor value on the screen driver circuit. When I changed to the recommended value, this issue got resolved immediately and improved the contrast and refresh speed of the display. So shout out to Afroni in my Discord server for finding that issue. He was also a beta tester. If I actually pull this off here, this is using the old screen driver board, you can see how bad the contrast is on the e-ink screen, and this was causing really slow refreshes, and also, you know, it's just hard to see things on the screen. This screensaver is using the same timing as these other two, which are the new ones, and you can just see the difference in contrast between this and this. It's so much better now, and it allows for faster refreshes and less refreshes because the refreshes that do happen actually do more. There was also room for some hardware improvements on the case side. There were some issues with warping of the top keyboard case, which is this clear part right here with all the holes in it for the keys. This was mostly caused by the resin curing unevenly and causing that part to warp in either up or down direction, but I wanted to make sure this didn't come out in the injection molded parts. So I implemented some geometry to make sure that top was secured to the center of the PCB. This takes the form of just some small tabs that exist under here, and if I pull one of my boards out, you can actually see the holes that those mesh into. So these two holes right under the OLED are what those little clips clip into, and they keep this top part snug against the PCB, making sure that there's no flex or anything. So that was just a small improvement that I made on this part specifically. You may have also noticed this handsome blue Pocket Mage here. While I was prototyping the case
That sounds
parts,
really
I
cool.
also decided to open source the design files. And since I realized most people don't have a high quality resin printer to print the parts, I went through each one individually and made changes so that they would print perfectly on a standard desktop FDM printer. This way, if someone breaks apart or just wants to customize their Pocket Mage, like I've got a blue case here with some white text and white buttons, it looks really nice and it feels great. They can print cases at home or at their local library. Also, it should be noted, I'm not sponsored, but I have to shout out Bamboo Lab, who sent me their X2D printer to use for prototyping the FDM cases, and this was printed on that printer. It's solid in the hand, just like the resin printed ones. I also tried a couple different colors, including some clear PETG, which turned out a little bit, wasn't quite as good as this blue PLA, but still pretty good. And then I've also printed a black one, and I'm gonna try to print maybe a purple one too. I think that would be cool. I'll put pictures of those here if I made them. Also, something really cool, I was able to use the dual nozzle functionality to print some prototype keys, and that's what you see here. So this is actually printed in one go on the printer. I have the black keys, and then the legends are white. So I've got black PLA and white PLA for the legends, and it all came out in one part, and it works really nice. I've got it on this blue Pocket Mage here, and then I've also been using it to print fixtures, and this one is for the keyboard so that you can put the OLED in here and drop it in, and then you'll be able to easily assemble it in production. This uses also the dual colors of black with white text. So yeah, all of these FDM prints, they turn out really well for a quick prototype, and also, you know, getting a better idea of what a dual shot kind of injection molded part might look like with these dual colors. So after the design changes from the beta, I needed to start the manufacturing and crowdfunding process. I started by reaching out and applying to Crowd Supply's program and got accepted fairly quickly. This meant I'd be able to work with them on the crowdfunding and production process, and hopefully that would mean I would get funded and produce the device. The application process was pretty simple. Crowd Supply just wanted to see the current state of the project, what level of prototype I had, and if I'd tested the device with anyone besides myself. Because I already had a 100 unit beta run under my belt, I quickly cruised through the application and I was ready to start preparing for my campaign. Crowd Supply came right out of the gate helping me through getting some basic information about the project and getting a project page set up for people who were potentially wanting to back the project. From there, I went into pre-launch and started to get subscribers who would get notified when the project started crowdfunding. While this was going on, I worked on getting blog posts set up that would be posted weekly during the campaign, and if you're following, you might have seen some of these come through already, as well.
Honestly, this looks really freaking cool. I don't know if I would get one personally. It's tempting, but I don't know if I would have an actual use for it, is the issue. In any case, quick side note, I think I'm done. Where are we? There we go. I think I'm actually fairly satisfied with the work I got done here. So this is basically it. Actually, I could add a little bit more shading. But yeah, this is basically it. I'm gonna finish this later, because this one's a little bit more complicated to figure out. I have a, what do you call this? A, like 3/4 left and right. I have a front view, and I've actually also off camera prepared various eye animations. Not animations, but you know, like different emotes, I guess you'd call them. This one I'm actually not convinced by. I'll figure it out. I might keep it, I might not. This is like just side eye. Closed. Angry. This is a different type of angry. I guess this could be this. Yeah, I'll keep this. This is like a blinking kind of angry, right? So yep, that is all of the eye variations that I have come up with. These are the endless layers that I now have, and this is actually what I'm hoping my character looks like when in a concentrated state. Bless me. I'm still not sure if this is exactly how I want it to be, so actually I can just test that. Let's go over to normal, and let's just drop down the opacity. Does this look better? I don't think it does. The blue looks a little weird. I'm not liking it. I do kind of like this better. We'll figure that out later. In any case, this is essentially it. This is my character design sheet, and I'm wondering if I need to maybe create some in-betweens for the do I have a mouse? There we go. There we go. Yeah, like that. I'm wondering if I should come up with some in-betweens for the face. How do you describe this? So I have a front view and I have a 3/4 view, right? I'm wondering if I should have an in-between state for the face as it's turning between those, or if maybe that's just doing too much. I'm leaning more towards this is enough, 3/4 view on each side, front view, and then a bottom view. That should be more than enough. Maybe I can do a top view and call it a day. But right now, I think I'm good. All I have to do is add a little bit of these stroke shadings to the 3/4 views, and then I also did not finish the hair. Ooh, and I have some subtle shading, like gradiented shading on the front view, but I don't have it on the other ones, so I could also do that, and then I can actually fully call it a day.
Was getting some logistics and business stuff set up. During this time, I was also working with my manufacturing partner to get quotes, timelines, and production plans ready for when the device went into production. This process is long and has a lot of nuance to it, but basically I was able to secure some good quotes from suppliers and get a relationship with a factory so that I have a good plan for parts procurement and assembly and packaging and shipment and all of those things that go into this device. After completing more business items with CrowdSupply, I started to prepare for the actual launch. I filmed and edited the launch video, and if you haven't checked it out, I'll put that in the description, it's pretty cool, and prepared some promotional material to use during the campaign. Then finally, the launch day came. In under 24 hours, 18 hours to be exact if I can flex a little bit, the project was already over 100% funded, which was amazing. I'm so thankful for all of you out there who were, reserved one and helped to make my dream come alive. All that sappy stuff. But anyway, as of the filming of this video, we're at over 200% funding. I think 225 last time I checked. Unbelievable. But since the project got funded to 100%, it will surely be going into production, and I'm starting to prepare for that by even pre-ordering some items like the molds so that we can, get the timeline shorter. If I get some of the tooling and upfront items done before production is officially started, I can, shorten the timeline and hopefully get people their devices quicker. This is the phase that I'm currently working through. That brings us to the end of this video. If you want to learn more about the Pocket Mage and what it's capable of, I posted a short video overview on each of these apps on the device that you can check out and see what the Pocket Mage is capable of. The launch announcement video is also a really good overview of the specs and features, and just like a high-level summary of what the device can do. And if you want that overview, I'll put that link in the description as well. Thank you for watching, and an extra thanks to my supporters on Patreon. They've helped immensely with supporting me as I work through this project, and I am so thankful for them. But anyway, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you later.
So yeah, that was the Pocket Mage. I actually really like it. I just don't know if I would have a use for it, is the issue. I'm gonna drop a like, and I'm not gonna play that ad because screw the ads. How are we doing on time? Got a few minutes. I don't think we'll be able to watch this though, so screw it. Just me. No, what the hell? There we go. And I actually don't need that window anymore. Oh my god. There we go. Fixed it. So yeah, we're just gonna keep going with the hash. How do you call this? Hatch shading, right? Something like that. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay with that. Do you see this? I'm like actively trying to zoom in and out and it just doesn't let me. I don't know why it's always doing that. It really, really frustrates me. Looks good. And now we're gonna finish off the other side. Actually, I don't have to flip the canvas because I already have a perfectly mirrored version on the other side. Is that about right? Maybe not. Too far. I think that's perfect. Although I think the line turned out a bit too thick. Why are my lines so thick? I'm actually going to redo this because the lines might have been a little too thick, and that's why it looks so filled out. Yep, that looks a lot better. Perfect. We just need a little bit of darkness in here. A little more darkness in there. Done. Easy peasy. Did the line... Who's resizing my lines? Is it me? What is happening? Actually, yeah. Not like that. There we go. I'm actually gonna redo that. Let's work with this one first. Then that one. Easy peasy. I think that's good enough. Perfect. And we just need a little bit of shading in here, and that's it. Just like that. That's all that we need. And then over here, Alright, the very last thing I forgot was the hair. Didn't finish coloring it in. And then we just fill it in. What the freak? What the freak? What did I do? Isn't it connecting? It looks like it's connecting to me. I guess it's not connecting somehow. Why? I really don't understand. Oh. 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 Well, never mind. That was actually my fault. Now it's correct. We can bring back the line work, and now we're actually finished. Yeah. Ooh, one more thing I can do actually. Never mind. No, wait. I have the power of technology. Let's go over to the 3D model that I made. There it is. Where the hell is it? Oh. Can I show this on here? There we go. And now I can move this. We'll put it right here. So, long story short, this is the 3D model that I had made for my character, right? Just made a quick little 3D model that's not optimized in any way. It is just a bunch of nonsense. And I want to be sure that there aren't any little details that I could include in my 2D render. Huh. I mean, honestly, I think it's fine the way it is, yeah. I don't want to add too many lines and bog down the design with too much detail. So actually, I think this is perfect. This is exactly what I need. This is exactly what I want. Now, Sculptress won't close, but we'll figure that out. Okay, it's closed. So yeah, this is it. All done for now. Line work is done. Colors are done. Later on, I will add a little bit more of this subtle gradiented shading, just for a little bit more of an effect. And then, once we have all of that done, I am actually going to be using this for a very particular little project that I have. There is actually one more thing that I messed up on. Yeah, that's where it is. This line doesn't belong in here. Put it on the wrong layer. Good. It's gone on that side too. There we go. Let's make sure I put it back the way I had originally intended. There we are. Oof. This mistake is much deeper than I had realized. But we will figure this out. We will. So if we get rid of that layer, does this shading go with it? It does not. So this shading on the jaw is also on the wrong layer. Good enough. It's not on that side either. Perfect. Now we go over this way. Turn this on. Yep. Perfect. Done. Easy peasy. that's that. So that's all for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you're out there, if you can hear me, thank you. And I'll see you next time.